the SABC News channel will be bringing you an in-depth look at all aspects of the upcoming G20 Summit in South Africa. Well, tune into SA Today every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for a special G20 focus. Perhaps to tell us a little bit more about this, we're going to be joined by anchor Unathi Batyashe. Unathi, a very good morning on that note. You're usually on the other side asking questions, but thank you for lending us your time this morning, of course, as we build up to that special segment on your show. Congrats as well. It's a big time for South Africa. The focus and the format really comes to the fore. And perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about what we can expect from the show, how historical this is for a first on African soil.
Absolutely, Liesl. Good morning to you and, of course, to our viewers. I mean, this is a historic moment for South Africa, as you're saying, but also for the African continent. I mean, when you consider that South Africa is the only African country that is a member of the Group of 20, or G20, as we call it, and that it's now due to host the G20 Leaders Summit in November this year in Nasrec in Johannesburg. I mean, it is a first for Africa and it is a first for South Africa, of course. So essentially what we're doing in the show, launching today, every Wednesday, the segment will be played on an existing show already on the SABC News channel, which is SA Today. It's really to bring focus, Liesl, and essentially launch just the official countdown of the summit taking place later this year. So it's a weekly series every Wednesday at 4:30. I mean, the idea is really here to set the stage and to make sure that our viewers understand what to see and what to expect when that summit takes place. It unpacks all that is to know about the gathering, the most powerful economies that will be descending on the African continent. Of course, we've seen a number of meetings already taking place. It is really to bring those 19 advanced and, of course, developing countries, plus, of course, the European Union, as well as the African Union, to discuss those global economic issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about those ministerial meetings in the build-up to the summit in November, perhaps you could also talk to the focus. I mean, we know beyond G20, there have been other aspects incorporated. You've got B20, S20, M20, Y20. This refers to quite a few aspects that will be explored in relation to the dynamics unfolding here in our own country and the world over.
Yeah. So, I mean, importantly, of course, the G20's work, right, is divided into these two tracks, the finance track and the Sherpa track. So within these tracks, there are then these working groups. I mean, you've just delved on some of them, but it is quite extensive, particularly when you look at the Sherpa track. Yeah. And of course, we know that in South Africa, the Sherpa is led by Zane Dango from DIRCO, and who has been very instrumental, essentially, in just overseeing and negotiating throughout the year, discussing these agenda points for the summit and coordinating the substantive work for the G20. You will recall, of course, that not too long ago, the third Sherpa was held at Sun City, but unfortunately, the United States of America was not present. So a lot of questions being raised, of course, what does that mean for the United States, a powerful a country on its own that will be leading the G20 in 2016, not being present. We heard from Minister Ronald Lamola, who tried to allay fears, of course, saying that an apology was issued by the US following that Washington meeting between Presidents Cyril Ramaphosa and President Trump. We know, of course, that there was an indication from Donald Trump that he may be attending the Leaders Summit at the end of this year. But, I mean, things are moving fast, Liesl. So at this stage, it's still not known. And, of course, you know that the G20 also works on a troika system. So the United States is very important for this troika system. And how that works is that you have the previous host, which was Brazil, and you have the current host, which is South Africa. And of course, you have the United States of America, which South Africa is then handing over the baton to, that is also vital to this. So a number of developing movements to the G20, but we'll ask all of those fundamental questions. Today's episode at 4:30 is really to set the scene. It's to really, just start off the show by unpacking who forms part of the G20. And what are we likely to see in the G20, and how South Africa has prioritized African issues really, and how its theme, this year is really inculcated into these meetings that we've been seeing that are taking place, these working groups, and to look at, South Africa's approach across all of these working groups, and to interrogate what are some of the agreements that have been made, what are some of the negotiations in place, and also what are some of the things that countries are not aligned with, So. Yeah. Also happening, as you know, at a global uncertainty stage. I mean, there's so many things happening there too in terms of geopolitical instability, US and SA relations, the conflicts that are currently taking place in the Middle East and, Eastern Europe. So all of those issues we'll be unpacking throughout the shows, and each show will have its own theme looking at funding issues, particularly in the developing countries. We'll look at, health issues, climate change. So very exciting times for the SABC, I must say.
Absolutely. And we're excited to see you delve in further today. Thank you very much for joining us. As you mentioned, plenty to unpack in relation to the theme, solidarity, equality and sustainability, and just what the future looks like, how Africa can also leverage in the long term. But Unathi Batyashe, our anchor, she is on SA Today, of course, bringing you that special G20 focus. It's happening 4:30 every Wednesday. SABC News Channel bringing you the latest, that in-depth look, of course, at all the aspects regarding the upcoming G20 Summit that's happening in South Africa later in November.